Hi there! Are you a football manager player who sunk hours into the game, jumped between clubs across Europe, but now you want something fresh? Something that will really challenge you? Then let me show you 10 save ideas in South America.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Look, I get it. South American leagues can be intimidating with their long seasons and quirky rules, but trust me, these saves come with wild stories and unforgettable experiences that you won't find anywhere else in FM. So, let's talk about it. South America is pretty massive in its land size, and there are 10 countries in total that cover the Common Bowl region. 6 of them are accessible through the default save, but using Master Igor's Common Bowl Leagues mod, you'll have access to all 10 countries, and I'll attach the link to that mod in the description of the video. It took me a bit of time, and in the interest of fairness, I did just nail it down to 1 team per country so that you can pick and choose the experience that matches your fancy. Thus, let's get into it, as we're going alphabetically for each save choice here by the country in which the club is from. For our first team, we are headed to the birthplace of the Argentinian flag, Rosario Santa Fe, Argentina, and one of the city's biggest clubs. Club Atlético Rosario Central has been a mainstay in the Primera División in Argentina and are known as Los Canallas, or the Scoundrels for our English-speaking audience. Central are also known as La Academia due to the number of players that have become professional from their youth teams, such as iconic Argentinian winger Angel Di Maria, Argentinian national team stalwarts like Giovanni Lo Celso, and young prospects like Facundo Buonanotte, Tomás O'Connor, Alejo Veliz, and Juan Giménez. Also, their main rivals in the city are Newell's Old Boys, the club in which Lionel Messi, Gabriel Batistuta, Mauricio Pochettino, Lionel Scaloni, and Maxi Rodriguez came from. Just in case you wanted an idea of how ridiculous the city of Rosario has been in terms of player development in the past few decades. In recent years, Rosario Central has struggled to get any silverware domestically, but the return of manager Miguel Angel Russo in the 2023 season did propel him to a Copa de la Liga Profesional win, only their second trophy in the past 25 years. Using La Academia, can you repeat Russo's feat along with being the one to help this club break the chokehold the likes of River, Boca, and Racing Club have had in the Argentinian league? Or perhaps go one step further to guide them to their first continental trophy, whether that's a Copa Sudamericana or the Copa Libertadores. From the Santa Fe province in Argentina, we then travel nearly 2,000 kilometers northeast and almost 3,650 meters above sea level to La Paz, where we get to meet one of Bolivia's mightiest clubs, Club the Strongest. No, seriously, that's their actual name. The Strongest, who are also known as El Tigre, are the oldest active football club in Bolivia and the only team to have played continuously in the country's top division for longer than a century. They are multi-time domestic champions in Bolivia, and in the country's last appearance in the FIFA World Cup, the national team was represented by multiple players from the Strongest, such as Marcelo Torrico, Gustavo Quinteros, Oscar Sanchez, and José Melgar. However, the Strongest have seen their dominant form in the country be challenged and overtaken by their main rivals Bolívar in the last decade. Not to mention, they have never tasted continental glory. But then again, no one in Bolivia has as of yet. So the challenge is pretty simple. Re-establish the Strongest as the kings of Bolivian football in the short term, and in the long term, the ultimate goal is to truly live up to the team name by building the Strongest into a team that can challenge and be the first Bolivian club to win a continental trophy. Whether it's the Copa Sudamericana or the Copa Libertadores, I don't care which. Even more kudos if you can manage to build a Bolivian side that can win consistently away from home in these continental games. After nearly running out of breath by being far, far above sea level, we get to then head back down to sea level and then to the east of the continent by about 5,000 kilometers until reaching the city of Recife in my beloved country of Brazil to talk about our next team on the list, Náutico. Clube Náutico Capibaribe is one of the biggest clubs in the state of Pernambuco, with 24 state titles in over 120 years of footballing history. But despite their legacy, they haven't reached Brazil's top tier since 2013, currently battling it out in Série C. Even so, Náutico still pulls some of the biggest crowds in the division, backed by one of the largest fan bases in Brazil's northeast region. The passion for the club hasn't gone anywhere, and it's only likely to increase if the team returns to the form it had in its heyday during the 1960s and the 1970s. If you're looking for a long-term South American save, rising from the lower leagues to the top, Náutico might be the perfect club for you in Brazil. The calendar is tough, and the expectations are even tougher. You'll be expected to compete and establish your superiority in the Campeonato Pernambucano, the Pernambuco State Championship, against historic rivals such as Sport Clube do Recife and Santa Cruz, and fight your way back to national glory. But if you're up for it, you'll be doing it with a club full of tradition, in a region that deserves way more spotlight than what it currently gets. But the long travels don't stop here, as we go cross-continent from the shores of the Atlantic Ocean to the shores of the Pacific Ocean, arriving in the port city of Talcahuano, Chile, to talk about your next FM save idea in South America, Huachipato FC. Founded in 1947 by steel mill workers, Huachipato are a historic club in Chilean football that have recently re-emerged as a serious force in real life, winning the 2012 Clausura portion of the season and the 2023 Primera División in Chile outright. So far, Huachipato are the only team from the southern Chile region to win the Chilean top flight title. Also, their badge was inspired by the steel mark logo used by the American Iron and Steel Institute, which also inspired the NFL's Pittsburgh Steelers logo. But can you be the manager that replicates that 2023 Chilean league title and then take Huachipato even further? Because at this point, the challenge is not just repeating that title win, it's about chasing what no Chilean club has done since Colo-Colo in 1991, lifting the Copa Libertadores. If you're looking for a save with recent glory, a gritty identity, and a massive long-term goal, Huachipato might be the perfect choice. Although if we're talking about long-term goals, the next save idea also has the potential to keep you occupied for a while, as we're taking the scenic route by going up the Pacific Ocean coast and passing multiple countries on our way to the Antioquia region in Colombia to meet our next club, Envigado FC. This club is renowned for the quality of its youth development and the number of international stars who have begun their careers with the team, including James Rodriguez, Freddy Guarin, Juan Fernando Quintero, John Cordoba, Mateus Uribe, Giovanni Moreno, John Duran, among many others. It's frequently considered one of the best youth academies in all of South America, which is why it is known as the Cantera de Heróis. Their youth academy success stories are made even more astounding given that the club is much younger than many of their contemporaries in Colombia, having been founded in October 1989. And in recent years, they've barely avoided relegation from the Categoria Primera A, Colombia's top division of football. So, if you're looking for a youth-oriented save with one of the continent's most renowned academies and want the challenge of building the stars of tomorrow along with achieving success on both a domestic and continental level, then Envigado FC might just be for you. Alright, if I somehow have managed to keep you watching, this is as good of a time as any to tell you that if the rest of the video is up your alley and you dig it, don't be afraid to hit the like button. You can also hit that subscribe button too if you feel so inclined, as I do make video essays regarding Brazilian football and also some Football Manager content from time to time. Not to mention, if you do feel especially inclined, I've also got channel memberships as well where you can help support me directly. You'll get access to a private Discord channel where you'll get exclusive access to updates on the videos I'm working on, and eventually I'll also be allowing our members to vote on the next video ideas that I work on as well. Right, shelling aside, let's continue talking about these save ideas. We don't have to go too far this time around for our next selection, as we head south to the city of Santiago de Guayaquil in Ecuador to meet our next club, Barcelona SC.
Huh?
No, not that Barcelona. This Barcelona. So, Barcelona Sporting Club, internationally known as Barcelona de Guayaquil, are one of the most successful clubs in all of Ecuador and hold the distinction of having won the Ecuadorian Serie A title a record 16 times, and being the only club in the Ecuadorian top flight to never have been relegated. They are also a club with continental pedigree, as they were the first Ecuadorian club to make it to the Copa Libertadores finals, getting there twice but losing on both occasions. Fun fact, Barcelona Sporting Club's founder Eutimio Perez gave the club its name after its home city of Barcelona, Spain, but their team crest and its similarities to that of FC Barcelona didn't happen until 1955, with a few changes made to differentiate their badge from that of the Catalonian side. With their resources and domestic pedigree, perhaps you can be the manager that guides the South American Barcelona to its first domestic trophy win since 2020, and perhaps you can be the one to get them once again to the Copa Libertadores final. Except this time, you do what the club could not in 1990 and 1998, and you win them La Gloria Eterna. Speaking of eternal glory in the blessed Copa Libertadores, our next club is rather familiar with winning a few of those, as we go down nearly 5,000 kilometers southeast, all the way down to the capital of Paraguay in Asunción to talk about my next FM Save recommendation, Club Olimpia. Founded in the heart of Paraguay's capital, Club Olimpia has a rich history since its founding in 1902 by Dutchman William Potts, who eventually became known as the father of Paraguayan football for being the pioneer in promoting the practice of football in the country. Since its foundation, Olimpia has won a record 47 Primera División titles to date, including a unique record run of winning the league 6 consecutive times. Although recently, the Paraguayan Giants have had competition at the domestic level, as they have traded league wins against the likes of Libertad and Cerro Porteño, but they are still the only Paraguayan club to have ever conquered Common Bowl with 3 Copa Libertadores wins and also an Intercontinental Cup in 1979. But their last Libertadores title was in 2002, and they haven't been near a Libertadores final since 2013. Can you be the one to re-establish Club Olimpia as the perennial powerhouse in their own backyard and return them to continental glory? But I understand if a continental sleeping giant isn't quite your speed. How about I pitch you another powerhouse further up north in the continent, but one that hasn't reached those same heights as Olimpia, located in the Chacaritas neighborhood of Lima, Peru, because our next stop takes us to Club Alianza Lima. Alianza Lima are one of the oldest and most successful clubs in Peru and one of the most well-supported in all of South America. They've won over 25 national titles, they boast one of the most passionate fan bases in all of South America, and their rivalry with Universitario is one of the most intense anywhere on the continent, known as the Superclásico del Fútbol Peruano. They also have the distinction of winning an appeal against being relegated from the Peruvian League back in 2021 by taking the case all the way up to the International Court of Arbitration for Sport in Switzerland, winning the case literally a game into the 2021 season, where they would eventually go on to win the Peruvian Liga 1. Even though Alianza Lima have been incredibly successful on the domestic level, that success hasn't quite translated into continental success for them. In fact, no Peruvian team has ever won the Copa Libertadores, and none have made it to a final since 1997. Although in real life, Alianza Lima have made some waves through the 2025 qualifying phase of the Copa Libertadores, as they knocked out South American giants Club Nacional and Boca Juniors on their way to qualifying for the group stages of the competition. Can you be the one to break through the glass ceiling and lead Alianza Lima to be the first Peruvian club to lift South America's biggest trophy in the Copa Libertadores? Or at the very least, the second ever Peruvian club to win the Copa Sudamericana like Cienciano did in 2003? Alright, for our next club, we go from one capital to another as Montevideo, Uruguay is our next destination. Now, Montevideo is home to a variety of football teams in the entire country of Uruguay in both the Primera División and Segunda División, and our club of choice here is amongst them. Our next stop is located in the Jardines del Hipódromo neighborhood with Danubio FC. Danubio was founded by the Bulgarian brothers Mihail and Ivan Lazarov in March 1932, together with other youths from the República de Nicaragua school in Montevideo. They took their black and white colors for their badge and kit as a homage to Montevideo Wanderers, who are still an active club, then eventually altered their kits to have a diagonal black sash over their white kits, taking inspiration from Argentina's River Plate and their iconic red diagonal sash over their white kits design. While Danubio haven't had the same level of success as the likes of other Montevideo powerhouses like Nacional and Peñarol, the club is the home to an incredible youth academy that has seen the likes of Edinson Cavani, José María Giménez, and Diego Forlán emerge from it, and the kind of facilities that will allow you over time to either build a team around the academy or sell those prospects to help bolster the team's facilities and bring in reinforcements that can make an immediate impact. Regardless of how you choose to play it, you could be the one to take La Franja to the top of the Uruguayan league and eventually find continental success while taking advantage of such an esteemed academy. Last but not least, we're headed up to Venezuela in the city of Caracas. But rather than going with a more obvious pick such as Deportivo Táchira or Caracas FC, we're going for some younger blood in the sport as a whole with Metropolitanos Football Club. Metropolitanos FC have only started their journey in South American football, being founded in 2012 and climbing through the ranks of the Venezuelan pyramid over the years to become a consistent presence in the Venezuelan Primera División. But what they lack in tradition compared to some of the other powerhouses in the country, they make up for with sheer boldness and an ambition to be victorious. In fact, they have already begun proving their ambition by winning their first ever league title in 2022. Proving they're not just making up the numbers in Venezuela's first division. This one is a true long-term project where you get to write the most crucial chapters in a young club's history. Between developing local talent, navigating Venezuela's chaotic economic landscape, aiming to achieve success on the domestic and continental level, there's a lot of challenges here, but there's also a lot of potential to turn these new kids on the block into the first ever continental champion in all of Venezuela. Cool, so this wraps up that list of 10 saves of different varieties for FM24 in South America. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any teams you feel are also ideal for South American saves in those comments, and if we get to, say, 150 likes on the video, I'll do a version of this specifically for just Brazilian teams and dive real deep into some of their lore in the process. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.